So I managed to convince a couple friends of mine that going out and trying to find some plants in my field guide was a good idea. We headed north, out of the city, and ended up at Mount Tamalpais. And here's a very California scene. Plenty of golden brown dead grasses, a little bit of coastal woodland, and a whole lot of fog rolling in over the Bay Area. As you can tell, I immediately found the most promising place to look for plants. So this is a big issue in California in general, invasive plants displacing the native plants. So the iconic rolling golden hills of California that we're all used to seeing, that certainly I grew up seeing, turns out that's all invasive grass. This is not historically what California looked like, but within living memory, this is what we've got to work with. It's a bit of a bummer, a bit of a fire hazard, but you know, wild oats, they apparently kick butt compared to the local indigenous grasses. Now what was that? We just passed by a little flash of color, and that was an arroyo lupine, a very stunted arroyo lupine. They do love apparently disturbed areas, so this is a good spot, but they also are very water tolerant. Among the lupines, they have that reputation, and this is not a high water spot. We also ran into our state flower, the California poppy. Very nice. This was a tiny, tiny example of the California poppy. You can see it's barely the size of my fingernail. But, you know, it's a difficult environment we stumbled into, so it's getting it done. Here we have some nice thistles. The cobweb thistle, I think, is one of our California native thistles. There are also some invasive thistles floating around, but I think this one is one of our homegrown. Hopefully this will focus. There we go. You can see the distinctive cobweb look around its spines. We also sell some coast buckwheat. This was a little bit difficult to get a handle on at first, just looking down at the leaves because they were pretty discolored, maybe a little stunted, but the flowers are dead on. Coast buckwheat. Oh yes, Douglas fir. I've been looking at these my whole life. I had no idea what they were. I always assumed they were some kind of pine tree. There we are. But we have these nice little capes on their cones that let us know this is a member of the Douglas firs. And this, wild mustard. This one took me a moment to figure out. This used to be classified as part of the brassicas, but it's a perennial that's actually in its own genus by itself now. And it is European invasive. Grows everywhere. Once you spot it, you start to spot it just about everywhere you look, especially on the roadside by the freeways. Here we have a coast live oak, I think. This is a beautiful, beautiful tree, and it absolutely changed the climate for a huge area around it. It was so much cooler and moister in there. Doesn't have kind of the spiny bits on the edge of the leaves, though. A little bit of a mystery to me. There seems to be a lot of diversity, though, so coast live oak. Tan oak, though, was pretty clear cut to identify. It has kind of cool ridged leaves. It has these nice sort of hairy acorns, maybe even tentacly acorns. Apparently it was a very important commercial plant in the tanning industry for a very long time. Tan oak, cool stuff. This, some kind of sage. I don't know sages well enough, but it had the leaves in pairs on opposite sides of the stalk and had a ring of flowers cruising up here, so tentatively some kind of sage. I have to go back out at a later time and see if we can find one at a fuller stage of development to get a good sense of what color its flowers are and whatnot. But that's it. That was our trip to Mount Tamalpais and the plants we found.